Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Juana Whitmore. She's a business strategist, accredited small business consultant, certified financial education instructor, university professor, 23 years of business analysis, development and strategy experience, founder of NextFemme Financial. Welcome to the
Yeah.
show, Luana.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit.
Right.
A lot of women entrepreneurs will benefit across the globe from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about how one can master financial acumen for entrepreneurial success, business success. Uh, so, uh, First, what I want to understand from you
Mm.
is we'll come to this later. First, a bit about your journey itself, Vana, so that people know who they are listening to, and can understand and learn from your journey itself.
Yeah, you know what? So I started my journey really in business, working for a large Fortune 500 company. I was there for almost 20 years doing business strategy, business analysis, business architecture work. And about halfway through that journey, I really decided that I would probably be better off doing something else that was kind of more community based. So I started a company that helped entrepreneurs get exposure in the Twin Cities, in Minnesota. And so what I really understood was how different business was for small businesses than it was for the major corporation that I worked for, and kind of the plight of the entrepreneur, and all their struggles. And that's really where I started. I then ended up getting my undergrad in entrepreneurship. I got a master's in nonprofit administration and went on to be a consultant of small businesses outside of this big company. And then I decided I was going to go ahead and do it on my own. And so since I launched my consulting firm, I've been helping entrepreneurs for about 8 years or so. Doing one-on-one work as well as group work. I also teach entrepreneurship here in St. Paul. And I'm also a doctoral student, and I'm studying the effects of personality on the success of women entrepreneurs. So I think entrepreneurship all day long.
Absolutely, entrepreneurship all day long. Now, help
Mhm.
us understand, Lavana, is that you talk about numbers, you talk about that financial education for
Yeah.
especially for entrepreneurs, business people. Uh,
Hmm.
but a lot of these business people, they can have either they have the vision, either they have that perseverance, either they have that. Not everyone has that knack for numbers or are
Hmm.
good at, especially again, women entrepreneurs. They have that special thing about creativity. So I
Hmm.
want to understand then, uh, how should we look at this whole thing about numbers? A
Yeah.
lot of people do their business without numbers,
Mhm.
and then their business takes off. Later on, they realize or learn a bit about numbers, or they get financial, professional people into their system.
Mhm.
So I want to understand, can not everyone can know about numbers as well as vision. How does it work then? How do they calibrate both the things together if they are into business or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so we think about your business financials. It's a little bit different than your personal financials. And so, uh, what I find working with entrepreneurs is they think they're bad at it. It's like a self fulfilling prophecy. Before they even try, they've determined that they're not good at it, or someone has told them at some point that they're not good at it. And the truth is, when we talk about business financials, it's more logic than math. There's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And if you can do that, then you can do business math, right? So it's not that complicated. It really is more about logic than it is about math. And so once we start to get people past that mental roadblock, that mindset that I can't do it, they are more open to learning about it. And also, the research shows that when you've got better business financial acumen, your business in general will do better because you're better able to make business decisions based on data than based on how you feel.
Absolutely. So it's about
Mhm.
more about the mindset and not about
Yeah.
your actual understanding of numbers.
Yeah, I think that most anyone could learn an entrepreneurial CEO level of business financials. They just have to get past that mindset. So what the research has shown is that a lot of those issues with budgeting or financials actually start with their personal financials. And so if they're not good at managing their personal finances, if they don't have a budget, if they're not keeping track of it, chances are they're not going to do that in their business. They don't have the skill set. They're not bringing the skill set forward. So, what I really want to try to focus on going forward is how do we get women entrepreneurs to master their personal finances, and then they'll bring those habits into their business.
Okay, so first
Mhm.
mindset, then personal finances, and then the business part of
Yes,
things. How do you get
absolutely.
started? How does it work? How do you create it first the mindset? Then we come to the other thing about personal finances.
Yeah, the big part of the mindset is I have them write what I call their money autobiography. It's literally pages of work understanding why they think about money the way they do, and it often starts in childhood. You're at home, people are saying things like money doesn't grow on trees, or all of those things, and that gets into our psyche, and it affects how we spend money, how we save money. Even thinking about the first time you had a job and you got that first paycheck or that first payment, what did you do with it? How did you feel? So we explore all of these things first to understand the why and the root cause before we could even give them a budgeting sheet to start kind of creating their financial plans.
Okay, and those
Mhm.
firstly about the mindset, if that is taken care of, then how do you then get down to the personal finances part of it? Is it also some people may have lots of money, some people may just be thinking about entrepreneurship, do not have enough money, whatever the little they have, they want to put into the business, or some people might have good ideas, great vision, but have no money at all. How does it work for them on the ground?
Yeah, so regardless of how much money you make, you everyone can follow the same personal budget, which is a 50-30-20 breakdown, where 50% of your income goes towards your needs, 30% goes towards your wants, and then the 20 remaining percent goes towards savings and investments. In that case, the investment may be investing in your business, where you could put that 20%. So that's something that everyone could do regardless of their income. It's all relative, right? Um, but what is most important in leading up to that is understanding what your values are so that you can spend money in accordance to your values. For example, if your value is family experiences, if that's one of your top core values. You probably shouldn't be spending your money on the next Prada purse, right? You should think about how you want to spend that money in accordance with your values. And then you can break it down using that 50-30-20 budget.
Right, right. So,
Mhm.
what are the, in the lack of this whole thing, understanding and all, whatever? Let's understand it from the mistakes part of it. The biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make, and how one can avoid them.
Right. So in this entrepreneurial ecosystem, and I can really speak to the United States and Minnesota specifically, when we leapfrog people over the understanding of personal finances and then we give them money, whether it's a loan or a grant or whatever, we expect them to be able to manage that money, but we haven't filled the gap of financial acumen. So on the ground, real world, what ends up happening is that entrepreneurs get funding, again, whether it's in the form of loans, grants, several thousands, several 10,000s, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars, yet they don't have the basic understanding of how to manage it going forward. And then what we see is defaults on loans. We see money that's used in ways that aren't actually beneficial for the business, those kinds of things. So that's the real world challenge with not mastering your financial acumen. And we see it all the time.
Right. Let's look at it from
Mhm,
the benefit point of view. Suppose someone
mhm,
understands whatever you want them to understand. What is
mhm,
the change in their whole understanding of business, their own business, outside business, the people who are dealing with them? What are the
mhm.
benefits if you would like to, make them see this part of this whole understanding?
Yeah, so there are three things that are scientifically, linked, right? So meaning there's data research that shows that when you manage your your personal finances better, you better manage your business finances, and then you have better performance in your business. So the benefit is really twofold. When you have a really strong understanding of how to manage money, you are better able to make decisions based on that knowledge, right? So if I'm looking at my cash flow statement, I understand what that means and how I should then go forward to make a decision based on whether or not I have cash flow or not in the future. As well, you are better because you are now better able to make business decisions. Your business performance improves. So these things are all linked. I call it like the trifecta, right? It's a pretty powerful link.
Right. And when one thinks of, okay, let me learn a bit of this because I need it, but then they get overwhelmed because think they will need to learn a lot, or
Mhm.
learn as much as to understand, or challenge some of these people who are talking about those numbers.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how will you
Hmm.
ask intelligent questions enough to them, or counter questions to what they are saying? So how much
Hmm.
knowledge is enough for me as a layperson, but to manage my finances, and also for the business? Do I have to be equal to those people who are managing or talking to me about finance, or do is it only
Yeah.
5%, 10%, 20%? How much is it?
That's a great question, right? And I think so. If some of this depends on the complexity of your business, right? So if you have a simple business, service-based business, your financials are going to be less complicated, probably more from a tax perspective, as well from an expenses perspective. But when you get into some kind of CPG, if you're selling things, if you're manufacturing, your finances will be a little bit more complicated. So some of it depends on that. But the truth is, most entrepreneurs do not need to have a CFO level of understanding. They need to understand the three basic sheets, right? The balance sheet, your cash flow, and your profit and loss statements. You need to understand those three things at a level that makes you understand when these bottom lines are off. So my cash flow is not positive going forward. Where do I go in these statements to understand why that is so that I can ask the right questions? So I definitely don't expect people to be able to create these things from scratch, but I do expect them to be able to diagnose issues in those statements from an entrepreneurial standpoint.
Right. And from a
Hmm.
women's point of view, a lot of people have some people have that impression that women, or maybe some women themselves have that impression that
Hmm.
I do not uh, have as much understanding about numbers than other people have. How should, or how would you want them to tell about these things? Because you yourself uh, are now teaching a lot of people about these things. So I want to understand. I guess you'll be able to explain this part better to a lot of women out here.
Yeah, yeah. So I think I can really speak specifically to America. We were, as women, excluded from financial systems for 200 years. So our kind of modern financial system was created here in 1780, and women weren't allowed to get bank accounts on their own until the mid 1970s. So we're talking about one generation removed from me, where my mother was unable to buy a car or a house on her own without a signature from her husband or her father. And so that creates some residual challenges, right? As well, families are less apt to talk to their girls about money as they are with their boys. And then women tend to go into businesses that are profitable because they're service based businesses, but they don't necessarily lend themselves to getting venture capital or outside funding. So they have to fund for themselves. And then on top of that, women live longer. So when we think about the personal finances, you got to have more money than the men do to last you for the 5 to 10 years longer that you might live. And then women tend to make less money over their lifetime. So all of these things are kind of piled on, not just internal doubt, but external challenges to make it a little bit more of a we need to talk to women differently and get them to understand the emotion behind money and their fear, as well as the shame. There's a lot of shame, surprisingly, around how people spend and save their money.
Right. And in terms of
Mhm.
personal finances, Luana, I want to understand is for women. Men, their personal finance planning, is it different for women? Is it different or should it be different? Or how does that work? Because men have a very
Yeah.
inclusive that sort of a thing. Not that women do
Mhm.
not have, but slightly there might be. So
Mhm.
how would you like to tell them, especially with regards to personal finances, how should they plan that for the longer term? If at all we can use the word retirement or anything else.
Yeah, yeah. I think specifically when it comes to women, outside of the things that I just mentioned, there's a special piece about community and a safe space for women to talk about money with other women. Women don't talk about money amongst themselves or within their families, even. And so, having this kind of safe community space, which is what we offer at NextFemme Financial, gives you not only a group of women who are doing the same things that you're doing and thinking about the same things, but also gives you opportunity to build community, get a peer mentor, those kinds of things that help you along the way. Again, because there's so much emotion that's tied to this kind of really emotionless thing, which is money, we have to kind of think about it a little bit differently.
Right, right. There is so
Mm-hmm.
much to learn about these things. Tell us a bit about, Next Fem Financial, so that what exactly it is. You are the founder of Next Fem Financial.
Yes. So this is a platform that provides a 10-step process to help women entrepreneurs manage their personal finances so they can have stronger businesses. So it helps them get to understand how they should save and spend according to the life that they want to live and the business that they want to have. Things about how to improve your credit, understanding how to invest, those kinds of things that just basically set themselves up better for their businesses and help them make better decisions in their companies. We also later in the program, depending on which level you are in, there's an earn part of the program where we teach women entrepreneurs how to add new revenue streams to their businesses.
Right. So for those
Mhm.
people who would want to learn more from you, about Next Fem Financial, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so you can go to next-femme.com. That's next-femme.com. If you're a woman entrepreneur, I would love for you to take the quiz. It's a free, quick 10-question quiz that helps you understand where you are in your financial journey. And if you want to connect with me, I am the only Juana Whitmore in the world. So you can put my name into Google and you can connect with me on LinkedIn and all the places. So.
Wonderful. With this,
Mhm.
it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.